Okay. Let me start by welcoming each one of you. It's a great pleasure to be here. And as I said, I have a few introductory words. First is that this is a joint presentation. We have worked together, myself and Rosemary. Where is she? Is she hiding? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I know you like to hide in the back. Okay. Sometimes people sit in the back so that they can slip up, during presentations. And the next thing I want to say is, this particular presentation is a highly philosophical presentation. In fact, it's kind of never-ending subject when you talk about self-inquiry or self-knowledge. And when I started preparing this presentation, I was having quite a bit of difficulty. How do I express myself? It was kind of requires courage to try to present a subject like that, which is kind of, as I said, never-ending subject. But then I really decided that I'll put together a few charts and see how it goes. And to tell you the truth, I don't know how much time it will take, how many sessions it will require. Because self-inquiry is a constant process. And if you go into the philosophy, specifically Eastern philosophy and some of the Western philosophy, the entire philosophy is about self-inquiry. Try to find out who I really am. And that's what you want to really do there. So this particular subject of who am I, and after that, once you really know yourself, know your real self, I'm saying, not the body and the mind, that's not your real self. Then you discover within you a condition which is known as a blissful condition. What is bliss? Bliss is a inner happiness. It's a very strange type of happiness. It's a feeling of complete contentment. You feel all your desires have been met. And you really start loving one and all. You love a saint as well as a sinner. Under that condition, your mind is always extremely calm. And all actions are just happening. Happening by whom? By body-mind complex. It's everything is happening. And you are really enjoying that. You are watching it. You enjoy the tragedy and you also enjoy the comedy. Like in a movie, you enjoy. And same is the condition here. And I want to say one more thing, that this session is a type of session where we have to jointly work. It has to be a joint type of session in which if you have any question, please stop me. It's an interactive session. And even if we cover 3 charts or 4 charts, it's really worth it. But you should be extremely clear about it. I'll start with a very high level of philosophy, understanding, which normally we call it metaphysics. Metaphysics is an element of philosophy or a branch of philosophy which deals with your true self. It goes beyond physics, beyond the material world. Physics deals with material world. Then it stops at the end. It says there is something from where material world started. They call it primordial substance, or they call it I-LAM. And by the way, the I-LAM is spelled as Y-L-E-M. We are going beyond it. And therefore, it really requires a constant practice that you have to really study, listen to it, and after studying, listening, you have to contemplate on it, muse over it, ponder over it, for hours together, for days together. Then you have to start seeing that knowledge in your own self. That is what is really known as meditation, that you see the knowledge in your own self, feel your own self, and then live that knowledge. Until you live that knowledge, you are not there. But when you start contemplating, you start coming closer to that. And when you meditate, you come closer. In meditation, you reach that level, but you want to reach that level with your eyes open and while transacting with the world. That is the ultimate goal. And that is the stage which you call as that you are in a state of eternal happiness. Nothing can perturb you. Nothing will disturb you. Nothing will distract you. You will really remain in that state and keep on watching. You will watch your body doing work. You will watch your mind doing work. And you will just be enjoying it. Okay, welcome again. I'll start to give you an idea about the agenda. Let's see if I can move this. The pointer should be here, then only it will move. The agenda for today, I'm going to start with initial query. Query is a kind of thing, like definition, where you want to know some of the definitions, that what is body, what is mind, and things of that type. And in this one, I want to really first define what I mean by self. What is the meaning of self? Then I want to talk about what is the meaning of self-knowledge. And then I want to really broach a subject which you can call it as why self-inquiry? Why do I want to inquire myself? I am living a wonderful life. I am having a lot of fun. I go on cruises. I go all over the world. Why do I want to inquire? Person can ask this question. Then I am going to explain that why do you want to make self-inquiry? Despite having all the fun, there are moments where you suffer and suffer and suffer. So basically that you want to get out of that suffering, get out of that worry. And after that, I'll talk about two levels of self-inquiry. The first level of self-inquiry is encountering the false self. That you cannot reach the real self unless you go through the false self. If I want to reach a screen of a movie, I have to go through the movie itself. Otherwise, I cannot reach there. So similarly here also, first you have to really examine the false self. And I'll define what is the false self, which you also call as ego self. And then we will go to the next one, which you call as uncovering the real self. You can call it discovering. You can call it revelation if you like. I like to use the word of uncovering because it is already in you. You already know about it, but you have covered it. Any discovery which happens is actually uncovering. That knowledge already exists. When you uncover that knowledge, you will call it as a law of physics. You will call it a cosmic law. And you can give some name to that law, You can really call it law of gravity. You can call it Charles' law, Ohm's law, or whatever law you want to call it. And this particular part, uncovering the real self, we are not going to cover today. Because I don't think we'll be able to cover the first item, which is encountering the false self. But ultimately, we have to really cover that. That is the one after understanding that, after contemplating on that, you will start finding a transformation within your own self. And today, let's say 20 minutes before the end of this presentation, let's make it like, 2:10 or so, we will really do what you call as a guided meditation. Guided meditation is also known as nididhyasana. And this is the kind of meditation where you see the knowledge in your own self. You become the knowledge yourself. But guided meditation is completed that after gaining this knowledge, you live that knowledge. Like, for example, if a person says that you should not grieve for the living or the dead, when actually something happens in the family, somebody dies, do you grieve? Ask that question. A person says, yes, grieving is good. And this philosophy says it's not good. It shows that you have a weakness of mind. By grieving, will it solve the problem? If a person has died, will he grow up? You can say, there is resurrection. No, it will not happen, by the way. So basically, this is the understanding one has to have, that grieving does not help. That means that I live that knowledge. And please stop me if there is any question. Okay, let's start with the first item. Initial query, what is self? We want to really define the self. Normally when we talk about the self, if you talk to a common person, what is self? They will come up with two entities which are known to everyone, known to some extent, I am saying, not fully. We know to some extent. For example, we say that self is body, which you can call it as a dynamic hardware. Body is a hardware, you can feel it, you can touch it. And it's a flow of gross elements. Gross element can be the blood is flowing through it. Neurons are firing through it. Nutrients are getting distributed in the body. So there is a constant flow. There are new cells born and old cells die. It's happening constantly. It is really changing. It's in a state of flux. That's not very difficult to understand. We know a little bit about body. Doctors know a little bit more than that. Is a doctor here? No, doctor is here. Okay. There are a few. Oh, yeah, I know Seema is a doctor. I know there are some other doctors also. Okay. Then there is mind. If you see, mind is shaking all the time, It's turbulent, we call it, Mind is dynamic software. It's a flow of thoughts. Mind is the one which really is a production factory. It produces thoughts. And that's why we call it, it's a subtle body. We call that physical body as gross body. This we call a subtle body. Because you can't really figure out what mind is. You can't figure out what thought is. You can go from the level of mass to energy, but you cannot go to the level of thought. That's a change in dimension itself. So that's a very advanced state. Then, however, for metaphysics, just to tell you what metaphysics is a branch of philosophy which really deals with your true self, wants to know what my true self is, and also wants to know that how this true self interacts or transacts with the world. Whether there is a world or not, we will not discuss today. But this is what you are saying, it's like sun, it's like a source. So that is what it says, this thing, that you have some entity, a third entity, which we don't know about, and we try to call it as soul in English language. Soul is not a very good word. There is a word in Sanskrit which they call as Atma. That soul is not the true translation of Atma. So I'm going to use the word soul very sparingly. And after a while, I'll start using the word self. Because soul is not very easy to understand. And in fact, I'll be glad to sit with a few people and talk about soul. It can take days. I'm just telling you this thing. To make a person understand soul. But at this stage, I'll try to explain in a simple way. I can say this is a source, like sun is a source of energy. So similarly, this is a source which enlivens or makes the body and mind alive, makes the body to move and mind to think, mind to become emotional, mind to recall the memory, That's why when you talk about memory, memory is all recall, by the way. One should not really say, I don't have data. A person gets Alzheimer's disease and all the data is still stored in the brain. And brain is a hardware. You store the data in a hardware, USB port drive, or a hard disk, you store the data. But you require mind to recall that one. And if your hardware is damaged, like it happens in Alzheimer's disease or dementia, then you lose that power to recall. You are trying to recall. Your mind is functioning, but you cannot extract the information out of the damaged hardware. And to give you an example of a soul, a very simple, when I said it's a source of energy, let's take a simple example of electricity. Electricity will light up these bulbs. It will light up, you can say, microwave oven. It will light up a fan, it will make the fan rotate and all that. And it will also work on air conditioning. It works in a number of places. The electricity, or the portion of electricity which lights up the bulb, you can call it as the soul of the bulb. In a simple way, I'm trying to explain, That is the soul of the bulb. Similarly, the electricity which makes a fan to move. Fan cannot move by itself, by the way. But electricity which makes the fan to move, you can call it as soul of the fan. If you think about it, it's the same electricity. They are not different. So when we talk about this soul, which is a wrong word, I normally call it as self. This self is the one which makes the body to move and mind to function. Similarly, you can think about it. Let's say there are three different waves. One is a Canadian wave. I'm starting from the north. Then there is an American wave. And the third one is Mexican wave. We have got three different waves. Now, where is the energy coming to the wave? It comes from water. There is one water only. You can say that water is the soul of Canadian wave. That water is also the soul of American wave. The water is also the soul of Mexican wave. And everything is really water, but I'm calling with different names. So similar is the situation here, that same power, which we normally call it Atma or the self, makes the body to function and the mind to start thinking. That power, you can call it that individualized power. When that power is working for one individual, you call that as soul. So we'll really go into more details later on, but I want to give you some idea about it. The body mind or the false self or the ego self. If I say this bulb, without the electricity, that bulb is useless. That's why we call it, it's a false light. If there is just bulb itself, there is no light. The electricity enters and bulb starts glowing. It starts giving a light. And bulb may fuse also, but electricity remains. That's why we call it a real self is the one which will always remain. That source always remains. But you don't have an instrument to use that energy from the source. So it is the same condition here when we say all the items which we consider, which we say body and mind, are not the real self. Because they do not have power of their own. They are really inert, you can call it. Inert means on their own they cannot do anything. Until that power is given to it, it will not work. I go to deep sleep, I withdraw the power from my mind. No thoughts are coming in deep sleep. Why? Because I have withdrawn that power. The mind does not have its own power. It requires that power source for it. It's also known as ego self because we identify with body and mind. The word ego here, by ego I mean that I feel separate from others. I'm different from others. Ego is not pride here, by the way. When I'm talking about a person thinks, my body is different, my mind is different. That is what is ego here. Actually, you are not different from anybody. If you are that source of power, you are the same for everyone. And when you start feeling that I am that source, then you will really love everyone. You cannot hate everyone. Because whenever you look at anyone, you will be looking at your own self. How can you hate your own self? It's not possible to do it. You can hate your body, you can hate your mind. One can say, oh, my body is not looking very good, so I don't like this body. But self you cannot. It's a power source. It's like electricity, bulb may be good, bulb may be bad, bulb may have 40 watts, 100 watts. You say, I like 100 watts bulb, not 40 watts bulb. I like CFL bulb or something like that, But you cannot hate electricity. Electricity is same. I have not met a person who says, I hate electricity. They may say, I hate a particular fan. I don't like this AC. This is a poor quality AC. But nobody talks about electricity. I'm having a poor quality electricity. No, you don't have. You have the same electricity. Everyone is same. Similarly, when we talk about the self is the same for everyone. And this soul is the real self, which you call as a changeless self. Now, some people say, no, it can change. Because electricity example, it can change. You can say this thing that you have got 220 volts, 110 volts and all that. But this self does not change. And I'll give you an example, which is also a manifestation of self, which never changes. There is a feeling, I exist, which you say, I am. That feeling will never change. Whether you are today, or you were a child, or you become more matured. I don't say people get old, by the way. They only get matured. More ripe they become, Whether you are in New York, or you are in India, or you are in Arizona, that I exist feeling remains exactly the same. I am. It will never change. It is changeless. So this source is also changeless source. And that's where we are trying to reach. Okay, we will move on. If there is any question, please stop me. Now we'll continue the initial query. What is self-knowledge? Now we have talked about the self. I'm sure you have got some idea about the self. Now let's talk about self-knowledge. 2,500 years back, a Greek philosopher, Socrates, all of you know about it, who was the guru of Plato, grand guru of Aristotle, said, know thyself and be free. I have added the word be free, by the way. He just said that know thyself. He really meant that once you know thyself, then you will be free. Freedom means psychological freedom here, by the way. Freedom from all worries, all fear. Just be free. What do the words know thyself mean? Now that's a question. So basically it means knowing the knower. I am the knower. And I have to know that knower itself. That's what it means. I have to know my own self. Many millenniums before, the same message was given by ancient Indian philosophies known as Vedas. There are 4 Vedas, and at the end of 4 Vedas, there are a part which we call as end of Veda, Vedanta. Anta means end. That part only deals with self-knowledge. It really explores to find out who the self is, who I really am. So this one was there long before. Okay, let's move on. So we start this initial query further about the self-knowledge. Now the question arises, who is the real knower? A person can really say this thing, that, well, sense organs are the knower, which you call as body. Sense organs are on body only. If you say that I've got an eye, that's a sense organ. I have a nose, that's a sense organ. Ear is sense organ. Skin is sense organ. And is that a knower? It's not really a knower if you think about it. Without the mind, you cannot sense anything. You will get a reflection in your eye. It will form an image in the eye. But until it connects with the mind, that image will not be converted into any knowledge. So that will only remain an image. If somebody wants to transplant the eye from one person to another person, let's say somebody has an accident, and that eye is taken and put it in some glass jar, in some liquid, and in that one it will form a nice reflection. But do you think that eye knows about it? No, it doesn't know. So basically you can say this thing, that no, this cannot be the knower. Then the next question comes, or is it the mind which knows this thing which is vibrating mind? A person may think, yes, it's quite possible the mind will know, But, I go to deep sleep, I know nothing about it. So mind also we have to think about it. We'll go a little bit further. Then we go to the next thing, we say, is the self the one which knows? So we need to investigate this one. And for that we need a brief investigation, understanding the process of knowing. It's all metaphysics, by the way. So let's really try to understand the process of knowing now. To identify the real knower, let's investigate the process of knowing, and it requires 3 basic elements. By the way, the model which I am presenting here is also known as a computer model. The reason is nowadays everyone knows about computer. Everyone is well versed about it. They are using computer, iPhone, anything which is also a computer, by the way. iPhone is no different. Smartphone and all that. You can also talk, and computer also you can talk. What are the things required for knowing? What is required is that you should have an object, something which is to be known. That is needed, Otherwise, you will not know anything. Then you also require some instrument for knowing. There is some instrument also needed for knowing. And finally, you require the subject or the knower. These are the 3 requirements if you want to really know anything. And you can see an object now. This object is a table. It has got a form and it has got color. To know this one, you require an instrument. We can call that instrument as eye. Eyes, you can call as instruments. Eyes, if that instrument is not functioning well, you can add another instrument, which you call as glasses, if the eyes are not functioning. And if there is music, you also require instrument, which you call as ears. If ears are not functioning, you require something to take care of it, That some devices are there, very, very small devices also, which are not very visible. So, but I am saying that it's an instrument. And by the way, if I tell you this thing, that a glass is just like an eye, it's no different. Only thing we think that glass is dead and the eye is living. That life is not there in the eye by itself. The life is coming from some source. So this is what one has to understand. So we call those things which are really getting this data from this object. We call them as sensors, or there is a hardware, and that you call as body. This receives the data. That you have got some knowledge, and that data is input into a hardware, like this hardware which I am having in front of me. And for this to function, it needs a mind, which you call it. Without the mind, it cannot detect anything. And this is also known to the mind. This hardware is known to the mind, by the way. Known in the sense means if I have a speck of dirt in my eye, the mind knows it. That I am having some problem in the eye. I have got a red eye. I have got a dry eye. I have got a wet eye. The mind knows it all the time. That means it's not a real knower. It's a pseudo type of knower. That without the help of mind, it cannot really know anything. Now the next one, I call it as mind, which is central processing unit. It gets information from number of different sources and then integrates that information. It can really information from eyes, from ears, from some smell. All these information can come. Like for example, if you are eating food, you require more than one information. That you are looking at it, you are smelling it also, you are tasting it also, all that information you need. And mind is the one which really integrates. It's like a computer CPU, it's the software. That's what is a software, which you can call it a software program. Now this one also cannot function if the self is not there. That you require a power source for it to function. If I disconnect this power source, it will not function. Disconnect means take out the battery out of it. So it really requires another one. And it is also known to the self. Now a person says, no, I don't know about the mind. You very much know about your mind, by the way. If your mind is agitated, you straight away know about it. That my mind is very agitated today. I am very depressed today. I am very happy today. You know about it. Anything happens in the mind, you know about it. And same thing can happen, that mind can be agitated or mind can be quiet. You know about it. You also know that my mind can think. It's very sharp today. So basically, you know about the mind. That means there has to be some other knower. If you know about the mind, you cannot be the mind. Subject, object can never be the same. So there is a knower beyond it. And this also needs that power source. And that one we call as self or power source, which you can call it as consciousness principle. Consciousness principle means it makes the mind conscious. It makes the mind to really gain knowledge. Mind does not have its own power, by the way. And this you call as absolute knower. You have a two extreme. One you call it absolute known. Like a table cannot know itself. You also call it insentient. On the other extreme, you have got absolute knower. Absolute knower means that it cannot become known. Is there something beyond it? No, there is nothing beyond it. It's like saying, is there a God beyond the present God which we think? Because somebody asked that who created God? There is no answer for that one. Because there is no God beyond it. If you read Bhagavad Gita, that is one very philosophical document, where Lord Krishna says, I am the father and I am also the grandfather. There is nobody else beyond me. It's the same thing here. There is nobody else beyond this consciousness principle or beyond self. That is the ultimate, which you call as absolute knower or ultimate knower, is that self. Okay. Now we'll continue with this one. Here, self-knowledge means knowing the absolute knower. Can you know the absolute knower? How will you know? Because there's nothing beyond it. So it creates quite a bit of dilemma or confusion, you can say, It is not knowable, but this philosophy or the scripture says this thing, but it can be understood. You can understand it with your mind, but you cannot know it with your mind. Because it is beyond the mind, and you don't have anything beyond this absolute knower. So this one you say that, how do I understand it? You understand it by self-inquiry. And when you understand it, the so-called absolute knower will uncover itself. It's a self-revealing, self-shining, self-effulgent. That discovery automatically happens. You don't have to do anything. You just have to be yourself. Be who you are. And you are that absolute knower. And we'll go through that process one day, not today, that how to really reach that level. There are different methods presented in philosophy of really uncovering your own self. So this is what you call as self-inquiry. In fact, the self-knowledge is self-inquiry. So you can't really say there is some separate self-knowledge. We call same self-knowledge as self-inquiry. However, before we really try to uncover ourselves, or discover ourselves, or go into revelation about ourselves, we need to understand what you call as pseudo-self or false self. And false self, where the first two elements I call body and mind, which you call it. We call it body-mind complex. We call it complex because it's very, very complex. Body is very complex, mind is very complex. We may know a little bit about body, a little bit about mind, And body, you can say that we'll ask doctors to take care of it, medical doctors. They find it's much easier. Some hardware is easy to see, feel and all that, So doctors really take care of the body. Very complex system. They know a little bit about it. I'm not saying they can know too much because it's very, very complex. Mind is even more complex, because you have to imagine. You can't really figure out what is thought. They say it's an impulse. Is it coming from inside or is it coming from outside? I don't know. I have a thought that I can reach the edge of the universe. Thought. That in my thought I have imagination. The width of the universe is 93 billion light years. I'm just giving you a number. The latest number. It can change, But I can reach there. It's very, very complex. And that I call it is the domain of philosophers. Some people say psychologists. Psychology is a part of philosophy, by the way. Very important element of philosophy is psychology. So both these are very difficult. And before we really uncover the self, we have to go through these two barriers, you can call it. One is body, another is mind. Body, we'll leave it to the doctors. Easy thing. They'll take care of it, We'll just be generous to the body, but we'll be indifferently generous. Not be obsessed by body. The problem is a person gets obsessed by body, and body will not let you move any further. It will not let you go towards the mind at all. If the body is sick, it will stop you. We will really focus on the mind. Because if the mind is not functioning well, you cannot go further also. So we want to make sure that mind is functioning very well. And we'll study this mind and we'll find out a way of making this mind calm. Calm enough so that it does not really create a hurdle in front of our journey towards the self. Going to the self is a journey. It's a journey from small self to higher self, to real self. False self to real self. We are on that journey. And mind is the major problem. Body can also become problem, by the way. But fortunately, doctors are available. They'll take care of your body. They'll fix it, If you are having pain, they'll give you a painkiller. Take that painkiller, and after that, don't worry about the body. Don't start telling everyone, I'm having pain, and I'm having this problem. I have diabetes. I have got so many other things. I bring out this thing because when I meet some people, when I go to India, I meet some people, very matured people, my age group, you can call it, and they keep on telling me all the story about their body. In the morning, I have this problem. Afternoon, I have another problem. Night, I have another problem. I keep on having problems. I go to bathroom 6 times a night and all those kind of things. You hear about it. And I just sit there, quietly listen to it, and then I decide next time I'll not meet them.
So you don't want to hear their
Yeah. So I really, because that is the only story they remember. They'll not tell me anything good about it. They'll just talk about their body. That is known as body obsession. It's not a magnificent obsession. There is a movie, magnificent obsession. That's a very different thing. That you love somebody, But don't have body obsession, but take care of the body. As they say, be generous to the body, but indifferently generous. So we are going to really focus now on this mind and try to explore the mind so that we can make the mind calm, make the mind tranquil. When it really becomes calm, then it's not going to resist. It will let us move further. If this whole thing is, if the ocean is having all the waves, big surf, waves and tsunamis and all that, our boat cannot move. I want to go from one side of the ocean to the other side, I'll not be able to go if the water is very, very turbulent. So I want to make it calm so that I can smoothly move through the mind to the self. So I have to really understand the mind. And why do I need to understand the mind? Because I want to make it calm. And to tell you the truth, that is the main part of the journey. It can take not one lifetime, it can take many lifetimes. And you are sitting here because you have already gone through certain lifetime and made yourself calm. If you had not made yourself calm, you will not be sitting here, you will be in some movie theater or somewhere else. There is something, some attraction you have that you want to continue the journey. Okay, let's really start looking at it. We will now go to this thing that why do I want to have self-inquiry for the mind? We want to really look at it. Okay, to answer this question, we'll first inquire, what is the purpose of this life? Because people ask this question, what is the purpose of my life? Why am I here? And somebody can say that purpose of life is death. Can death be the purpose of life? I'm just remembering, Longfellow, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, A Psalm of Life, very famous poem. I'm sure all of you have read that poem. Life is real, life is earnest, and the grave is not its goal. So death cannot be the purpose of life. And if that was the purpose of life, to die is the purpose of life, why am I born? I don't need to be born, and go through all the torture and then die. So that cannot be the purpose of life. Now what can be the next purpose? Now many theologians will tell you the purpose of life is to go to heaven. I don't know about heaven. It's unverifiable dream by people. Okay, maybe there is some heaven. Some faraway planet, far, far away in the galaxy, you can say there is a planet. But if I have to really go to that planet, which I call as heaven, heaven number 1, heaven number 2, or whatever heavens are there, I don't really need to take birth on this earth. I'll take birth near that planet. That planet is not very near. Out of the 9 planets which we have got, actually now there are 8 planets, one is dwarf planet. So that means if I am on earth, that cannot be the goal. If I have to go to heaven, then I'll take birth on another planet, some other planet, faraway planet, much more smarter planet where people are more happy and all that kind of thing. So that cannot be the goal. So there must be some other goal. Let's look at what is the goal of life, or you can say purpose of life. The true purpose of life, or this life, is to evolve. That is to grow, making mind calm, and be free. And be free of all worries, all fear, all hate. And this is known as living. Or you can say the purpose of life is to live. But meaning of living is not this thing that I will really study, I'll get a job, I'll get married, I'll buy a house, then I will continue, then I'll go on a trip, on a cruise, and finally I'll come back, fall sick and die. That is not the purpose of life. That is really known as horizontal motion. Purpose of life is really to evolve inside. And as you keep on evolving inside, you start having that feeling of joy coming out of you. Tremendous joy will come. When you don't have worries, you don't have fear, this is what is known as living. We'll really talk about it a little bit more. Okay, we'll continue. Are we free of worries, fears? Many people say, no, I don't have any worries, I don't have any fears and all that. People will say this, think and inquire about it, And you ask a question, why are rich afraid of thieves? Rich are more afraid of thieves than a poor person. Poor person really is not afraid. What can the thief take from them? Maybe he'll feel bad, he'll give some money and leave it there. So the poor person is not afraid of, closing the doors and all that kind of thing. They don't want some camera really looking at it, security system camera, then after that you have a gate and things like that. If you are really more rich, then you will have a guard also standing there and all that. So the rich are always afraid of thieves. And there are all devices coming up. Now let's look at the people who are beautiful. You think they are not afraid? They are extremely afraid of deformity. That I may get a wrinkle on the face, especially if that is a Miss Universe, She is very, very afraid. More beautiful you are, more afraid you are also. So there is, think about it. And if you really look at those people who are athletes, very healthy people, they are always afraid of a disease or some accident that something can go wrong, their leg can break or something all the time. They'll insure it also by you. There is an insurance available for that one. So they are afraid of that one. And then we'll say the learned people are not afraid. That is also not true. They are also afraid of their rivals. That one great philosopher is afraid of another one. Professor is afraid of another professor who's doing better. A researcher is afraid. Yes, question? Okay, somebody is asking questions. I've got a bunch of people logged on from somewhere else, online. The learned are afraid of rivals. And by the way, that Rosemary decided we don't want to show individuals there. We'll only show a dog and cat, they are rivals. Sometimes dog is stronger, sometimes cat is stronger. It depends, depends on the kind of dog you have and the kind of cat you have, So they are like rivals. So everyone is afraid of something or the other. Okay, now continue this one. While self-inquiry will continue to gain freedom from worries and fears, our journey of living can be divided into two levels. And I have already taught which level we are going to deal. One level is known as gaining emotional maturity. That is really focusing on the mind. And the second level, we call it uncovering our true nature, our true self. Today we are just going to focus on gaining emotional maturity. And let's look at that one. Self-inquiry plays a major role in both stages of this journey. Along with self-inquiry, you have to do some other practices also. Like practicing meditation. That is one of the way of practicing that for a short duration you become very calm during meditation. It could be prayer also, which you do prayer here or do prayer wherever you are in the church or wherever you are, temple, church. So all these things, these methods really make you calm. There are many other methods also. You can really have breathing, you can do yoga, you can do number of methods. But the most important method is that if you want to continue the journey, don't want to stop at some place, you have to really make self-inquiry. So we will really focus on the self-inquiry for gaining emotional maturity. That is the subject which I am going to talk. What is emotional maturity? Let's ask that question. We say, that's why I say people don't become old, they become mature. Not all of them. Some of them become mature, some of them become more childish, as they call it, The ones who are complaining about their body, they have become more childish. Mom, my finger is hurt, like that, those people are childish. It means having a non-reacting, non-turbulent mind. A mind which does not react to a stimulus. Somebody insults you, you don't get upset about it. That is what is the main, that you are not reacting. You are acting, not reacting. The problem is most of the time we are reacting. That is what is known as emotional response. So this one, emotional maturity, really means that you have made your mind, you have purified your mind to an extent that it has become non-reacting. That is, you don't get angry. You don't get jealous. My colleague got promotion, he does not deserve promotion, so I am very jealous of that one. And jealousy doesn't leave you very easily, It's a very serious disease, mental disease, by the way, jealousy. You get up in the morning, you will feel that jealousy. While sleeping, you will feel that jealousy. You may have to take a sleeping pill to get rid of that jealousy. It doesn't leave you. There are a few other things which doesn't leave you. For example, greed also doesn't leave a person. There are some people think greed is worse than jealousy, others think jealousy is worse than greed. So it's a competition. Now anger comes and goes more easily. But greed remains all the time. A person feels that greed. I need to get more. I need to get more and so on. I want to put some more in this stock or that stock or something like that. Or I'll put it into gold. Gold price is going up, so I should put more money into gold like that. I'm saying I just saw gold price has gone up quite a lot, 10% or so. It's a short blip, Okay. So let's look at this one. A person makes a material progress, and is it a progress? That's a question one should ask. We are trying to really gain emotional maturity. You are in very turbulent waters, and you say that I started in some level, I started in some job, then I became a manager, after that I became a director, then I became vice president, then I became president, and then I became the CEO of company, then I became chairman of the company. Is that a progress? If you want to see the progress, has my turbulence level in the mind decreased? In fact, you will find it has been increasing. So you are really not making progress, and I call it horizontal. Actually, it is not horizontal, it is going down. That is the condition, but I thought I'll be more generous to those people who are in very high positions. Because they may see. Yeah. So it's really, I'll just keep it horizontal. Actually, it goes from turbulence to more turbulence, and that is not known as living. So we have to really take a different path. Where we want a non-reacting mind, we have to go towards calmness. Emotional maturities, tranquil mind under all circumstances. This is what you say that this is known as vertical growth. It becomes calm. That is what we are really trying to achieve. Okay, let's look at this one a little bit more. Gaining emotional maturity. We will first focus on self-inquiry to gain emotional maturity. I'll go to the ultimate self-inquiry also, but that's a very long subject because I have to talk about various methods for reaching there. Some of you may ask, why self-inquiry? I don't need it. I'm leading a normal life, having a lot of fun and all that, so I don't need any self-inquiry. If you talk to a person, he says, no, I don't want a calm mind also. I want exciting mind. Actually, somebody told me once I was giving a talk. He said, no, I don't want to get into it. I was trying to talk about meditation. He said, no, I don't want meditation. Because then I'll not have excitement. He says, I get tremendous excitement when my team wins. But I said, what happens when it loses? Well, he says, I don't care about it. I do get depressed, yes. But I don't care about it, all right? He didn't want to start meditation, by the way. All right, I said, fine. Well, think again, am I really leading a normal life? What we consider is normal is really actually abnormal life. This life of excitement. Every day one is having excitement. Person is excited. Trump has said this today. I'm very excited. He has said this next day. He said something else. And I'm very depressed now. He's excited, depression, both the things. And he's expert at it, Trump, He'll say one thing, you'll get very excited. Then he'll say opposite thing, and you'll get depressed, He's smart. He knows how to handle people, So he'll say, I'll make this decision. After 10 minutes, he says, I have changed that decision now. So it can be there are many people who are expert. They are really known as politicians. they have a lot of strength of that type. I admire that strength. Not everybody can do it, by the way. And this is all really dealing with those people who get excited and who get depressed. So, okay, let's look at it. Why self-inquiry? Now we are really you are seeing all these questions are coming up, They'll keep on coming up. And we'll start by asking a few questions. You have to really have an honest answer for those questions, not really outwardly. In an interview, you can answer anything you like. But if you want an honest answer, how will you answer? That question is, do I get upset, agitated when someone insults me? Ask this question. Do you really get agitated? There are some people who don't, by the way. They really think this person is a fool, like that. But most people react when somebody insults them. A person doesn't talk properly to somebody and people get upset. You get upset because you expect that person to respect you, and that person insults you means does not respect you. There is no reason to get upset, but a person has to ask this question. Most people will say, yes, they do. Then next question is, no, I think I missed that. Do I get very upset if my child is disobedient? Very common thing. Children are supposed to be disobedient, you know. They get a lot of fun, you know, playing these games with mom and dad and all that, you know. And smart, children are very smart. They are very observant. They know who is weak. Mom is weak or dad is weak, you know. I'll go to mom this time, next time I'll go to dad. You know. So look at the weakness. Mom really gets me clothes and dad gets me computer equipment, so I'll go to dad at that time, not to mom. Or gets poor grades. People are very upset that my child has got poor grades. And normally if you ask them, that person says, you know, no, that's my duty. I'll deal with this particular subject a little bit in more depth. Okay, next thing, let's see what it says. Do I get upset if my boss does not treat me well? I'm bringing boss because most people are not treated well by bosses. That is the definition of a boss, by the way. Then otherwise that person is known as a friend. If your boss treats you well, you say, my boss is my friend. But if it doesn't treat you well, then you say, this is the boss. So, yes, maybe. Then let's see, I've not got too many questions because there are so many questions one can really create. Hundreds of questions. Do I get upset if my flight is delayed? Why should you get upset? Flight is delayed. Can you do something about it? Can you do something to the plane or something like that? But still a person is upset. Because the person is thinking, I'll reach late, then I'll not get proper rest, or all that kind of thing. Food may not be that good, all those kind of things, you know, people think. I'll be too tired next day for going to the office. Okay, I have a lot other question, another dozen questions, but which I'm not really showing here. I continue this why self-inquiry. If the answer to most of these questions is yes, it means something is wrong. Whereas either with me, something is wrong that I react like this, or it is wrong with the world outside me. So basically you say, I like to blame the world. It's much easier, you know, to blame somebody else. You feel bad if you blame yourself, you know. So you say it is something wrong with my boss, something wrong with this aircraft company or somewhere else. Now I find somebody has removed something. Can you really get on mute, please? Pungo, or whoever is there. Are you listening to me, Pungo?
Yes, I am. I will mute it. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Then you can try. Or Vermont, one of the two places. I get confused between New Hampshire and Vermont, but there are many things. Like if you go to Dartmouth, which is in Hanover, one side is New Hampshire and the other side is Vermont. Yes. I like to blame the world. Okay, there is somebody still not on mute. Okay, but can I change the world? One great philosopher said that one who thinks can change the world is a nut. And you will see a nut going. Let's see it going again. Yeah. So don't ever think of changing the world. Don't think you can change your boss. If you think you can change your boss, you are a nut. Okay. All right. Why self-inquiry? We'll continue with this one. Now, a final question. Will self-inquiry free me from worries? Now, the philosophy says, I am saying, Vedanta, which is ancient body of wisdom, which is the part of Vedas, at the end it really says, yes, it will. It says, I'll give you guarantee that it will free you of your worries. Your fears, your worries, and your other sources of distress will all disappear. But may require some deeper inquiry. You have to keep on moving deep into space, you know, keep on making more inquiry. And we will go to one deeper inquiry today. Let's see. Example of deeper inquiry. I picked up one of the questions to really give some example of that one. This you have to really keep on inquiring. You are inquiring your own self. Why do you worry when your child gets poor grades? Let's ask this question. The answer comes because I'm concerned about her future. A female child, Okay, all right. So is that a reason to worry? So ask this question. By worrying, will she start getting good grades? I'll keep on worrying. And the child will automatically get good grades. Person thinks about it and says, probably not. May not get good grades. Okay, let's continue then. He says, then why worry if it is not going to get good grades? The answer comes because this child belongs to me. That is the answer comes, Not very intelligent answer, but it's okay, answer. Then the question comes, think again, does she really belong to you? Did you choose her? Did you choose that child? Or did she choose you? If she had to choose, she will go to Bill Gates' house, by the way, not come to your place, Or go to some other place, And so neither you choose her, nor she chose you. So you got the answer there. But says, well, I don't know about that, whether she belongs to me or not. But I have the responsibility of bringing up this child. Okay, that's a good answer, intelligent answer, that you have been given this responsibility. You are a trustee for the child, like any other trustee, You have been given this responsibility that you have to bring up this child. Okay, then the answer, Vedanta says, yes, you do have that responsibility. But this does not justify worrying. It only requires taking action. If you were a trustee, would you worry? You will just take action. That is the job of a trustee. If you prepare a trust, and you have an attorney who prepares your trust, he does not worry about you, by the way. That person takes action. So instead of reacting, be acting. So this was one of the examples of going deeper. We will go into much deeper inquiry also. But I think I can finish most of the presentation and still have time to go. So answer for self-inquiry. Let's see the answer. Answer is total acceptance. One of the main important elements is that you have to learn to totally accept whatever is happening. That means first accept the facts and then take action. This you go from reaction to action. The moment you are totally accepting, I'll explain what is the meaning of this total acceptance. Lord Buddha, he had many teachings. One of the very important teaching or key teaching was, which he called as suchness. There is a Sanskrit word for it, a dialect of Sanskrit known as tatatha. Means that accept the things as such, as they are. Now let's really look at this word suchness or total acceptance. Total acceptance, suchness, tatatha in a Sanskrit dialect which is known as Pali. That is the name of Sanskrit dialect. It means accepting the ways of things. If you are having sickness, say such is the way of the body. That body is going to grow, then it is going to decline. It will become sick from time to time. And one day it will disappear. Because there is a law of nature which says anything which appears has to disappear, by the way. That's why the metaphysics says, if this universe has appeared, it has to disappear. It is expanding and expanding and expanding at very, very fast rate, You say there is a lot of dark energy which is expanding it faster and faster and faster. A stage will come when there will be so much entropy in the universe that it will start contracting. I won't go into entropy at this stage. And it will start contracting and will disappear. Go into what you call as primordial state. This is the law of nature. Whatever appears has to disappear. If you think about the 7 ancient wonders of the world, there is only one standing, known as pyramids. They are taking a lot of care of pyramids. They are 4,000 years old, not very old, 4,000 is no time. When you say the universe started 13.8 billion years back, So for another 4,000 years, we will see what pyramids do. We may not be living to see that in this body. We will come back, in some other body. So they will also not survive. All 6 wonders have disappeared. Everything will disappear. because it's a law that anything which appears has to disappear. So this is how the acceptance starts. And it should be total acceptance. What is total? It means not grudgingly. You can accept it, I have no other choice, so I accept it. That should not be the attitude. Think about it, Do self-inquiry. It should not be that, not grudgingly, not helplessly, but with a willing heart. Or you can, if you want to call it, with a welcoming heart. That this was supposed to come, that's why it has happened. Okay, let's keep on looking at total acceptance. Suchness, total acceptance. If you fight it, don't fight this thing, by the way. If something happens, some incidents happens, don't fight it. Don't use the word, why me? Never use the word, why me? Whenever a tragedy happens, a person says, why me? A person gets a heart attack, he says, why me? I was doing so much exercise, I was very careful about my diet, I have got all the good habits. Why did I get heart attack? Why me? But if you get a lottery, if you get a windfall, why don't you say, why me? Nobody asks about it, why me? So never really try to fight or deny it. If you try to deny it, along with mind, the body will also become sick. Because psychosomatic diseases, because of the mind, the body also has problems. So never deny it. Just accept it, it has happened. Then you have to say, what is the appropriate action I have to take? And for that you require a cool mind or a tranquil mind. Okay. Suchness, total acceptance. When you fight, most of your energy is used up in fighting or non-acceptance. You need energy. Energy for digestion, you need energy. Energy for blood to flow in proper direction, you need energy and all that. Because if your energy is taken away, the digestion will not happen properly. Because that same energy is supposed to be used for digestion. Or you're taking care of your blood circulation or other things. And you have used up that energy in fighting this non-acceptance. Why me, why me, why me? You keep on really and telling everybody, why me? You have used up. Total acceptance. By acceptance, you transcend the reacting mind. Means you really go beyond that. You don't react, you become tranquil. And what you call as, when you transcend the mind, you become a witness to the mind, that you are watching the mind. Anytime when you become witness, you rise above it. When you become witness to the mind, you rise above the witness. When you become witness to the body, you rise above the body. Now the intellect decides the course of action. Your intellect will sort out the problem, by the way. What action has to be taken, or the intellect may decide no action has to be taken. It's up to the intellect. The mind is the one which is really having doubts. It's the one which is the source of all agitation. So this is what acceptance does. And suchness is emotional maturity. If you can achieve suchness, tatatha, you have reached emotional maturity. And I am going to give you one example and we'll stop at that example. An example of suchness, you are seeing this sinking ship. Long back, a sailing ship is sinking. Somewhere not very far from Europe, you can call it, Okay, let's see. In this example, the example of a philosopher, a stoic philosopher, one who is used to handling hardships. Stoic means one who is used to handling hardships, who happened to be a businessman also. There can be philosopher, businessman combined. Honest businessman, I mean. Was waiting. Most businessmen are not, but this businessman was an honest businessman. He was waiting for a large sailing ship carrying aboard a lot of his wealth. He was waiting for that, On the shore he's waiting. He says that he's moved from one country to another country and he was waiting there. I have shown the picture of Immanuel Kant, a great philosopher here. German philosopher. He heard a knock on the door. A breathless messenger told him, "Sir, your ship has sunk." Big shock. And his reaction was, he responds, "What?" Then very quickly he says, "So what?" So what? If it has sunk, let it sink. So what? This is what is a matured person. There will be some reaction, We are, living beings, human beings, we are not like paper or chair which has no reaction. We'll have some reaction, but quickly you overcome that reaction. Say what? Then you say, so what? The first answer, first response is daunting, worrisome reaction. Oh no, not really. A person says, I don't believe it. Why me? Why it is happening to me? This is known as non-acceptance. The next response, an ordinary person, by the way, can get into depression, or some people may commit suicide. It can be so bad, I've lost everything. I collected all my life for 70 years and then everything is gone, But the second response, so what, is cool response, with calm mind, non-reacting response from a thinking, mature person. This is what is emotional maturity. Who has accepted the fact, this is what is known as suchness. And that is what we want to achieve. That was my goal for today's talk. And I'll finish with this one. Next session we'll have uncovering the self, who I really am. So once you have reached emotional maturity, now you are ready to understand who you are. Until that time, that understanding can be erroneous. You will justify that I can do a little bit of this, I can do a little bit of that one, I can have a mixture of two things and all that. It doesn't work, by the way. You have to have a complete focus, and for that there has to be total acceptance. And I can tell you one very important thing for acceptance is that first be alert and then make self-inquiry. Alertness is a very key element. For example, a person gets angry. You have to really know that I am getting angry, not afterwards. Most time a person really realizes after one has got angry and it's too late. The damage has already been done. Interpersonal relationship has been destroyed. It could be with family, it could be with friends, it could be with your boss or with anybody else. And after that one regrets, I should not have got angry. The moment you are getting angry, be alert, watch. The moment you watch, the anger will go down. And it's a practice. It's a practice of lifetime, by the way. It's not something which can be very easily done. You have to keep on practicing every day. And any time you can start. Don't say it has to be started at very young age. There are a few things you have to start at very young age. And I can give you some example of two subjects. One is if you want to learn Sanskrit language, which is a shorthand language. It has got tremendous declension, as they call it. You have to start at very young age. Or if you want to really learn mathematics, I am talking about advanced mathematics, start at young age. Don't start at this age that I will start solving non-linear partial differential equations. You will not be able to do it if you start today. But when it comes to alertness, this is the best time to start. Because you might have finished many of your, duties of life. So it's a very good time to start. Just practice being alert all the time. Am I feeling happy? Am I feeling sad? Am I feeling upset? The moment you realize, oh, I am feeling upset, that upset will go down. So I think we'll stop here, Mr. Manny, and we'll conduct a guided meditation. It should be like 20 minutes type of meditation. And just to give you some instructions about guided meditation, in that one I will be the only one speaking. And all of you will be feeling whatever I am speaking. If I say I, me, you feel it in you. That I is you. If I say you, that you is also you. And I'll start with a sound of Om. It's supposed to be a cosmic sound, universal sound. Because it starts with and ends with M. Like all things, that whole sound system starts from what you call as from throat. Starts with and ends with your with the labial, as they call it, with your lips. It ends at that level. So all sounds are included in this one. It's supposed to be very universal sound. And at the end also I'll end with that Om. And in between I'll first start with some instructions, getting into meditation, and after that then I'll talk about the self-knowledge. Okay? And please close your eyes. I start by paying my deepest respects to the higher power, the Supreme Self, so that the obstacles that I face in getting absorbed in meditation are removed. Next, I pay my obeisance to great saints, prophets, who have educated the humankind, are given a gift to the humankind for freedom from all worries, fears, attachments, and binding desires. In paying my obeisance, I surrender my ego. I surrender my feeling that I already know. This feeling that I already know is a major hurdle in my spiritual progress. Now watch your posture. And try to keep your back upright, vertical, body relaxed, with right hand or right palm over your left palm, both palms facing upwards. This posture makes the body still, stable, does not disturb you during meditation, and also slows down the flow of thoughts. The posture of your hands signifies acceptance. Acceptance of all ups and downs in your life. Acceptance willingly, not grudgingly. And after accepting, taking action as appropriate. Now keep your eyes lightly closed and sport a smile on your lips. The smile coming from your true nature, the nature of cheerfulness. This cheerfulness indicates the sameness of mind, tranquility of mind. It also relaxes your facial muscles. Now with my mind relatively tranquil, I look at myself in relation to the mind. Who is in command? Am I in command, or the mind is in command? If the mind is in command, then mind decides whether I should be happy or unhappy. In fact, mind takes me through a cycle of happiness and unhappiness alternatively. But mind can command only if I allow it to command. Only if I give consent to the mind. And if I withdraw my consent, then I am in command, not the mind. Now I have withdrawn the consent and taken over the command over my mind. The mind will listen to me. Is in my control. Now I ask the mind to drop all its content. Drop the entire past memory and the imagination of the future. Drop the entire baggage. Having dropped the entire baggage, the mind is no mind now. Then what remains? I remain. Things come and go. But I remain. Childhood came and went away. I remain. Youth has come and gone or may go away. Yet I will remain. Thoughts appear and disappear. I remain. Body is born and will go away one day. But I'll continue to remain. I am neither the body nor the mind. I am beyond it. Then who am I? I am the one who knows. I am the absolute knower. When I say I am the absolute knower, it means I am a witness to all the things happening around me. I am a witnessing awareness. As absolute knower, I know everything. I witness everything. And right now, I am witnessing the body, which is still. And I am witnessing the mind, which is silent. I am also witnessing the breath, which is calm and steady. This calm and steady breath is the bridge between the body and the mind. When you know about anything, you rise above the known. That is what is knowledge power. When I know about the body, I rise above the body. When I know about the mind, I rise above the mind. I transcend the mind. This knowing is self-knowledge. How do I know? Is it by perception? No, it can't be. Because right now, the perception has been suspended. Yet, I know about it. Is it by thoughts, mind? No, it can't be. Because right now, the mind is still, is silent. There is no flow of thoughts. Yet I know. Then how do I know? I know because I know. I just know. I am the knowingness principle. Therefore I know. I am of the nature of existence absolute, awareness absolute, and bliss absolute. As absolute knower, right now, I am in the state of pure bliss. I am completely free. Free of all worries, free of all fears. This freedom is known as enlightenment. This is the state of enlightenment that I am experiencing now. This is experiencing my own self. Dwelling in my own self. Abiding in my own self. being the self. I be. I be. Now you can slowly open your eyes. Thank you very much for your patience.